What is one way you can make your scene better? Well, I'll tell you how I do it with these simple preparations in this video right here. If you're new here, why not hit subscribe and punch that bell notification so that you can be updated every time new content is available. Oh, and also, welcome. So what does it mean to break down a scene? In essence, breaking down a scene is kind of like preparing for battle. You've heard people say that you need to break down a scene. But what exactly is breaking down a scene? Well, I have a list of things that I go through when I break down a scene so that I know what to expect when I show up on set, and I'm able to execute things efficiently and it works for the bigger picture of the story. Now, there's elements of breaking down a scene of knowing what props, wardrobe, special effects, and camera gear are necessary, but as a director, how would you go about breaking down a scene so that you can best direct the scene? My thing is I will focus on character and character intentions in the bigger picture of the story. This is my list of what I do. The first thing I do is I identify my main character or the protagonist of the scene specifically. Now, you might have protagonists that change throughout the entire story. Your main character of the story may not be the protagonist of the scene. The next thing that I do is I identify my antagonist. Who is the villain of the scene? Again, just like the main character, your villain in the scene may not be the same villain in the entire movie, but is that villain in the scene specifically. The next thing I do is make it a point to identify each character's goal. Now, I talk a lot about this in my script writing or screenwriting videos, but it is just as important when you're directing a scene. You need to know what your character's goal is in the context of that scene, whether they're the antagonist, the protagonist, or even just a supporting character. What is it that they are trying to achieve? Now, this is where you get really detailed. As you go through the scene and you mark each line, each movement, write down, and I usually use the columns of the script, the intention of every action and everything spoken in the scene. So if a character says, I would like to have a hamburger, what is their intention behind saying they would like to have a hamburger? Likely that it goes far beyond just wanting a hamburger. And there's a chance that what they're saying is, I'm hungry, or I haven't eaten all day, or I'm about to die, or I have a craving. Maybe this baby that I'm carrying really wants me to have a hamburger, if they're a woman that's pregnant. Knowing the intention behind each line and each movement is very key in breaking down your story and will make you look like a genius on set. Now, this is a very simple technique when you're directing a movie, but it is so important and oftentimes separates the good directors from the not so great ones. And that is knowing the context of your scene and the entirety of the story. What's happened before, what's happening after, and where is this on your character's arc? Is it at the bottom of the arc, the top? You need to know where it takes place in the story, the context of the scene in the bigger picture of your entirety of the movie. And the reason this is so important is you want your characters to stay in character. You want them to be able to know where they are on the scale so that they can move naturally and organically into their character arc and not feel forced and going all over the place and make no sense for the audience. It's important to know the context of the scene, and that'll get you so much further, especially when talking with actors. If they're overreacting, you might tell them, I don't know if you have discovered this yet. What happens before? What happens after? Maybe this reaction is something that you would have during this scene. And having your homework done really helps in being able to show your confidence in what you're saying. Now that you've prepared for battle, there's a few things that you really need to know about the battlefield. One important thing that you should do is create overhead maps and block the scene. Now, the reason I do this second is that if I know the intentions behind the characters, it may naturally reveal where they need to be in the scene. But creating your overhead maps with your character's intentions and goals and meanings behind things, you'll be able to place them in your scene in a way that's going to best tell the story. But if you need to know more about blocking, check out this video in the card up there, link in the description, that talks a little bit more in depth of the importance of blocking. After you've figured out your blocking of where people will be, the next thing I would do is create a shot list. Mark down every shot that you think you'll need, and then you can go back to your blocking and add those in with your camera setups in your overhead map. Before we go on to how to use this material to direct a scene, let's pay some bills. This video is brought to you by the t-shirt "Careful, I'll put you in a movie." You know those times when you're talking with your friends and you tell them that you're a filmmaker and they say, you know, maybe you should get a real job. You can give them a word of caution and just, you know, inform them to be careful, because just maybe you'll make them a bad character in a movie. I mean, we have the power to do that. You have the power to do that. Why not sport it and caution people through apparel or a mug or a hat? And you know what? It also sort of supports this channel. Okay. Now that we have all of this information to go into battle, how do we use it? The last thing you want to be doing is flipping through materials and figuring out where the notes are that you had on the scene or what the actor should say. One thing that I do is I create a binder, and not a full-size binder because that's really cumbersome to be carrying around, but you know, one of these half-size ones. This one is a 1-inch, and I'm not sure the size, but it is a smaller one. And then I print the entire script out on half sheets, 2 pages per sheet. There's some settings in your computer, I'm sure you can figure it out. You're smart. I've dumped that into my binder. And then when I'm taking my notes, I've got them in each scene. On top of that, I will put in the back any additional notes that I might have, as well as rough storyboards, character intentions, my cheat sheets, shot lists, and all this information is readily available. But as you're going through, such as this scene here from the last feature I did, I made notes of when things were supposed to be, character intentions, goals, all of this easily accessible that you can stick under your arm and move your hands around, and it's really useful. Organizing your stuff to make yourself look professional is very key to giving the idea to your crew, to your cast, and everyone, giving them the confidence in you that you need them to have to be able to successfully complete your movie. I hope this was helpful for you, and if you think somebody might be able to benefit from this video, go ahead and share it with them. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.